that is winning from the off, from the very first moment of the game. So you want to see that performance from them. But when it comes to apparently Veneer, I mean, Veneer just weren't. They're not done with one win. They want to come in for the second win of the day. Apparently, interesting. Yeah, I mean, we don't normally expect these kind of compositions from Veneer, though, do we? Like, this is a triple threat composition from them. That's not Veneer that we used to.
Veteran, you're being immense.
Oh, okay. But this is the kind of thing we do expect from Dominoes, right? Once one lane wins, it's easy for them to get the transference to the second, easy for them to get transference to the third. Once one of them is in, they are all in. Very appropriate to the name of Dominoes. It'll be interesting to see if they ever get it off, because honestly, if Uniq get their groupings, if Uniq get their timings, they win. For Dominoes, it has to be, all right, we have this window. We must execute on it now. Decisive plays, which could lead to a very explosive game.
So I'm imagining from the way that you're speaking, Veteran, it's kind of a similar gambit to what we thought last game was going to be. We've got one team who kind of needs to make stuff happen in a very, very ostentatious way, whereas on the other side, of the red side team, could be a little bit more relaxed. Pedersen looking for something at the level 1 here, wasn't able to get an invade, but has snuck himself into this near bush, and you need to care for the Braum in this stage of the game.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't go for the map split. They've decided leaving the Karma alone with the Renekton may be too much. They didn't even go for a full-on invade on bot side. Although I do see deep redwoods in the jungle. That's nice, but you're not seeing those possible big plays from Uniq there. Vi, though, did she not finish the race? Or was that a camera thing? Who knows? But Vi going up towards the Renekton, she can make a choice here. Either play for the Renekton or pivot straight back down towards the bot side. So both teams thinking with that bot side in mind.
And I mean, that's the great thing for the Vi. There are lots of lanes with lots of setup that you can play towards, so we're not going to get a scenario that we had last game where like you can't really gank your Karma Ezreal, right? Because there just isn't set up CC there. You've got Ruthless Predator, you've got Scatter the Weak, and you've got the entirety of existence of Nautilus in the bottom lane. The map is very, very open for you, and Antwerp doesn't really have the same sort of luxury.
Yeah, I mean, just think of Domino's composition like their name. Not substandard pizza, but actually just straight up one person gets one thing off and the rest of the dominoes follow, right? Syndra gets a lock off, Vi can go in, Kai'Sa can go in, Nautilus can go in, Renekton can go in. Honestly, Kai'Sa should go in last on all of that, but one thing hits and it can all hit. Renekton got the priority top, immediately shifting into mid. We've talked about this since draft. Let's see if they can get the execution off. This is the window.
Early flash from Paul. Beautiful wind wall from Paul. And it will just be that summoner spell, but that is a big time commitment from Domino, but they do get the flash. And
they can re-engage.
Yomban's just going to stick around here. Paul's going aggressive, looking for something, but it's going to result in his death for sure. The flash, Ruthless Predator into the Scatter the Weak, and there's no amount of dashes that can get you out of that. Shaolin's going to burn, but he's not quite going to die.
Oh, and play on bot
lane though, Larry is being hauled into, has already burnt the flash. No cleanse for the Kai'Sa, and that is a kill for Cyrax. Bit more action early on, kills traded all over the map.
Much more complex on Dominoes. They shift their Renekton from the free-wave crash into the mid-section, and they see Uniq makes their first mistake. Paul tries to re-crash the fourth wave into the tower in a scenario where he doesn't know where top is, where he knows jungle is looking to do something off of their camps now, and they go in and they get the re-engage as well. But Uniq, they execute their game plan. They went top to bot, they have a pick, they know that they can execute on it, and they go straight for it. The Maokai point and click, boom, first kill on bot. Opening salvos from both teams, right? But you can already see Uniq, right? They have a very clear game plan. They kind of had to give Dominoes the opportunity to do something mid. But hats off to Dominoes, right? They saw those few seconds, and they were committed. Right? They actually were committed. It's still an uphill struggle for Dominoes, but more stuff like that, and crucially more mistakes from Uniq, and they could actually have something.
And I think you touched on something really interesting there, talking about how it felt like Uniq had a clear game plan, because I think, honestly, something that you could have ascribed to both of these teams for the first 4 games is there wasn't really a clear identity or a way that they wanted to play the game, but Domino make it very apparent that mid lane is a focus, at least for this game, and the way that Uniq have drafted with this Yasuo mid, with this Xayah in the bottom lane, and Neas on a camera is going to be a bit more supportive. They are recognizing who are the strong players on their team, who are going to be able to do that damage and hopefully grab them some wins.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, their composition's built for it, right? Especially when you look at this top lane matchup, right? The Karma into the Renekton, right? I love it when people are putting the enchanters in the top lane, but it puts so much on the carries to be able to do something. But this can also group really, really well with jungle setups, and the Karma synergizes really well with that jungler to help enable the rest of the team. Uniq, they're going to be able to get this first Drake of the priority that they have bought. Domino's, they're seeking any potential avenue to open the game again in their favor. Renekton going for as many fights as he can on top. He knows with that Drake going down that Antwer is bot side. Let's see if he tries to find something mid again. Shaolin, he knows this is another window. He sets up a possible freeze. But honestly, if you're high up on game knowledge, you know this is actually going to crash back into Yasuo. When the minions are spread thin like that, in a line towards the opponent, it guarantees several 6v1s, so that wave's actually pushing in, and Paul doesn't make the same mistake twice. When Necton's leaning in, he realizes Shaolin's made a small error, and he's punished him for it by just pressing B and recalling, guys. Sometimes in your solo queue games, it's fine to just press B and go, guys, alright? You don't have to contest every single minion, and he's back to a nice wave, with an economy advantage. He spent his money, and Renekton didn't get anything on that window. Domino's, Uniq did not allow them to get the first one falling.
Excuse me, veteran. I'm not the most intelligent person, but I was under the impression that Renekton's abilities were meant to do damage to people when he attacked them. That was a great
Karma
trade for
sometimes just says no to that. Okay, that's just a thing that you have to accept when you're playing against this champ. Sometimes it's all for naught. Well, I mean,
but maybe not.
Maybe. Sometimes means mostly it's gonna go well. And like I said, Renekton needs to get the fights off, and you know, it happened so fast in the blink of an eye, we didn't even get to see it. Man, there's just a dead cursing.
The caster cursing today has been quite incredible already. We had a couple of them last game. We've already had one today. And I mean, Fjompen now 2-0. This is kind of where you need the Renekton to be at a point of early power that you can start shifting around the map and use to maybe get priority. For Herald fights, Domino rotating their entire roster towards the top side of the Rift, recognizing the power that this objective can have.
But Xayah, she's going to get a crash off on bot lane. That's going to be a lot of minions lost. And honestly, she can just go for plates here. You only have the ball, like you have the ball coming down, but you know the Nautilus, you know the Kai'Sa can't be there. If she gets 2 plates on here, she basically equalizes what the Herald could give, except she has an XP advantage. Sure, Domino's get an objective on the map, and it could help them accelerate the game by maybe taking out a tower, but they are not winning economically off of that play. Uniq, they stay calm, they just keep their lanes going, and they get a huge advantage on their bot lane just from that. Actually, a really good play by Uniq, just by doing absolutely nothing at all. Don't get baited into that fight, don't get baited into that skirmish, you don't even need to fight it.
Not sure if that was a deliberate Herald summon there from Skjald, but has been used, and it will crash into that tower regardless.
Yeah. I think that was deliberate. I think it makes a lot of sense for them to do.
Hold on, bot lane, and we're throwing out the Nature's Grasp. It is going to secure a double route actually onto the bot lane of Domino as Sarex falls into the sky, and Domino fall into their grave. Snabby is going to be stunned under tower. A double kill for Pedersen, and he pays for it with his life.
That's fine. Actually, by dying there, Pedersen secures more XP for Cyrax.
200 IQ, and by not dying there, Neas will secure a bit more XP for himself. Domino's still looking for the redive, and
too soon.
Yeah, that's easy as you like. 3-0 for Fjompen on the Renekton.
What do you have against Neas, my man? Like you keep cursing him. He's alive, he's fine, he's chilling, and you're like, oh, he's not going to die here, and then boom, immediate, another death. But this bot lane dive, they juggled aggro very well until they didn't. But again, 200 IQ, the Xayah gets more XP from those 4 minions that she just killed on screen there. And Braum, doesn't give over that bounty to anyone particularly important. So, pretty good plays on both sides, but the Renekton, that's the big threat now for Domino's. I like them dropping the Herald on the top side. I like them trying to get this tower down, because if you can get that Renekton on the map, maybe he can cosplay Lingui from blue side on our previous game for Vanir, where he was making a lot happen on the Gragas. The Renekton has a lot of utility to offer. Maybe he can be the thing that prevents Uniq just playing out a laning phase that should benefit them, right? Maybe you can play 2v2 out, but can you play 3v2 out, 4v3 out, 5v4, right? Shove in the Karma, get Renekton out that lane, make him the X factor that can flip this game in Domino's favor.
And I mean, you can already see that right off of the resets. Fionbon is pathing towards this Drake, which has just spawned. Uniq were able to pick up the first one in this game, but it'd be a very, very bad idea to try and contest with a Gordrinker, Caulfield's, Warhammer, Renekton at this point in the game.
We're only 11 minutes into the game as well, and you know what? It's easy to forget, but there is no teleport available for Karma to just insta-go in on this fight here. She has to go all the way to the tower, which gives Domino so much time to get started on the Drake.
Well, Hook connecting there onto the Brahmas. Fionbon is going to be able to get into the middle of everyone. They are able to lock down Larry, who can get away with that killer instinct. Drake goes actually in favor of Domino. Fionbon is dead. Domino have fumbled the fight in the bottom side river. They've given a shutdown to Cyrex, and they've given a kill to Paul. Stabby, how have you ended up here, buddy? That's going to be another one going in favor of Uniq. 3-0 around the Drake.
A 2k gold lead existed for Domino's before this fight, but after this fight, it has vanished. And they were correct. The Karma can't just teleport on top of her team here, but they did not pull the trigger fast enough. They had to get it before Karma went to tower, before Karma moved from tower towards the Drake. They had to pull the trigger way faster, and they just weren't on time for it. And so Uniq, they're able to get everything they wanted. The numbers advantage Domino's had ended up being completely false. And now Domino's, they're on the back foot, and Uniq, they have to be feeling pretty comfortable with this game. Both of their carries, the primary ones that they need to be fed, they both have bounties right now. They both have gold. They're going back to spend it. This is now a very difficult game for Domino's to try to win.
Yeah, that 2,000 gold advantage before the fight has turned into a 2,000 gold advantage in Unique's favor. And Cyrex has got himself a Mythic and a Caulfield's Warhammer. This Xayah very, very close already to that Navori Quickblaze, which is going to make the feather pools incredibly painful for Domino to deal with.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's difficult to think of how Domino's could bring this back. You at least have teleport advantage on the Renekton, so maybe they can leverage that in 30 seconds when Unleashed Teleport is up and get a full man advantage playing away from the Karma, away from the Yasuo, away from one of these key players. If they're able to do that, then it doesn't become a factor of timings unless, Yasuo is able to just zoom from top lane to bot lane. If they can split them around the map and then play with that TP advantage, that's the next play Domino's can do to maybe bring themselves in the game.
And they do need to do that, because this composition can get outscaled and it can run out of damage very, very quickly if you aren't on or even really ahead of curve veteran. But looking at the game state right now, okay, we're 13.5 minutes in, tower plates are just about to fall off, and Uniq, they're in a much better spot with this composition than I thought they should have been at this stage.
I mean, yeah, it should. I was honestly very surprised by how much Domino's were able to get off on the top side there, right? Yeah. Yes, the Renekton can win these fights into the Karma, but Karma also knows when her jungler is showing on bot side and when Renekton can have that knowledge. And yet it seemed to always be in a state favorable for Renekton to just go all in and just erase her from the map, except for those few seconds where you're watching her and it looked like he does no damage whatsoever. Right? But outside of that clear bug that happened on our screen, right? The Renekton was able to get so much top that he almost turned the entire game in their favor. I think if they just trigger pull on that Drake a little bit faster, then they're in a very good position, but they start the Drake instead. They don't try to actually end the game before Karma can make the numbers there. Or if you let Karma go there, now you have TP advantage on Renekton. Let Renekton go up and threaten tier 2s, right? Set up on the other side of the map. Play with that TP advantage, right? A couple of very small decisions they could have made that could have turned the game not just in their favor, they were already in the gold lead, but put them in a winning position for the rest of the game. But that's the trouble with Domino's draft, right? It relies on them executing these tiny windows, right? And right now, that window is in 30 seconds. You have that unleashed teleport on Renekton, right? You have it, and Karma does not. Let's play before the Karma gets the TB back. Try to play away from someone. Let's see what they can do. They've decided to play heavy away from the Karma here. They're stacking in the bush for Paul. He's going in.
Oh, well, he's going down as well. A shutdown secured for Shaolin, his first kill of the game, and exactly what Domino needed. But hold up, there are three people pushing in the mid lane, and spoiler alert, Larry is not going to be able to defend that tower. So once again, he steps too far forward, and he gets absolutely exploded. A teleport's going to come in from Fjump, and Escal is also joining the play, and with a beautiful Bramble Smash to prevent the engage from coming through. Uniq still on the run as Snubby is moving over. He's going to be able to lock down the Braum. Edison puts up the shield and should be fine for the time being. Uniq continuing to make their escape through the bot side river, and they will be able to get away.
Just as they make a pick with numbers advantage away from the rest of the team, so too does the numbers advantage and the teleport advantage vanish. We were talking about Lucian Zay being low-range champions, but Kai'Sa is the queen of the absolute low-range AD carries, and Lorien trying to step up and do damage is in threat range of everybody, dies, causes TP from Renekton, and suddenly it's very difficult to see a way that Domino's can come back on this setup. Uniq are extremely grouped around this Herald. This is not contestable. They just have to trade away from the entire team of Uniq, and it looks like all the pings are being thrown out on bot side. They want to take that jungle. They want to maybe look into taking that tier 1 tower, but at some point they're going to have to respond to the Herald that is just being handed to Uniq.
Yeah, because at the moment, Domino's are kind of playing with scraps, right? When a team is in this advantageous position and you're trying to trade, there's no dragon on the map, there's not really a tower that's in range, it's jungle camps, it's waves of minions, and whilst those are great, probably not going to win you the game. And I want to shout out Cyrax, by the way. This guy had a rough couple of games right at the start of the split, but on the Zeri last time out versus Veneer, and now on the Xayah versus Domino, he's been having some pretty decent performances.
Yeah, no, I've really liked Cyrax this game. Especially on the bot dives, they were executed really, really well. In the bot 2v2, he's playing well. Obviously, he has an advantage from draft, but the execution's been there, right? Like, we can't necessarily say the same about Pool 227 this game, who's been caught out a couple of times, but Cyrax has been like a rock for his team. And that's great, because the team did pivot their early game plan around him. So good showing from him. And it's nice to be able to finally talk about Uniq strengths, how they're playing, which players of theirs we want to watch more, which players of theirs, you know, are potentially picking up the slack, right? It's an identity that it's finally forming around Uniq, something they have been struggling with up until this point. But in this game, they got everything they wanted. They haven't played it perfectly, but they've played it well enough that we can finally see a team forming out of these 5 players.
So if we're, I guess, looking on the other side then, at Domino, who've had decent play and are trying to make some in the top lane here, Snabby and Scal moving towards Neos and Pedersen, but ultimately deciding they can't do it. What do we think this game is looking like for them? What is this game telling us about how Domino are currently operating?
I mean, they are very committed to this particular style of all dive all the time, even when the first disengage options are from Uniq, but they're all in.
I mean, it works onto Advert, right? There's that feathers fly from Cyrax, protecting himself and that shutdown. But I guess that's what the composition does. It picks someone and it deletes them. The issue is, unless you're doing that onto the Xayah, it's probably not going to work out too well for you.
I honestly wonder how much of this is Snabby, because he's being a participant in every single one of these kinds of picks that they've been doing, and they've been working out, right? Generally, if Uniq find a response, it's away from the death squads, where Snarby always seems to be involved on that Nautilus. And these death squads are what they need. They need to isolate. They need to get them before they're grouped, because if they're fully grouped with the Braum, with the Xayah, with the Karma, with the Maokai, with all of these, it's nigh on impossible to get in. Even just trying to take out Paul once with that Yasuo wind wall is very, very difficult to do. But, you know, they've found it. They found it at least 6 times this game. Hopefully they find it again. If Domino's win, it's going to be on the back of this Death Squad Fnatic Crush setup that they like to be running.
And I think when you start looking towards like bigger objectives, as maybe Pedersen is going to opt to get a play here, just throwing out a little bit of attempted damage to try and keep this mid lane tower standing. But I think when we start getting towards these big objectives, I think that style of play can become really interesting, because you're not playing for the fight around the objective itself. You're trying to catch Uniq as they're moving towards it. Maybe Paul is a little bit too far away from Pedersen. Maybe Cyrax has found himself on his own. And then if you can get that pick onto that key member, you can move towards the objective, and it's going to be a hell of a lot more beneficial. It's difficult to find those picks if you don't have a mid lane tower, though. And this one has been taking a hell of a beating, almost fallen down.
But this is off of the big error earlier, right? The one that gave over the Herald. Sure, they were able to trade it for bot tier 1 eventually, and honestly, in any other circumstance, with that pick mid and that bot tier 1, they were ahead on tempo. But Paul, with the Herald on top side, flips that script upside down. The Herald, really good way for you to get tempo, leans towards mid, and there's nothing that can be done to prevent Uniq from getting this. Kai'Sa doesn't have the range underneath the tower. No one really has the range underneath the tower to not just be in the danger zone, so they're able to pick it off, modeling it as a 5-man with Yasuo leaning in, even though he's effectively playing 2 lanes at once there. And so all of Domino's have to recall off that tier 1 bot. They can't take the tier 2. They don't have a tempo lead anymore. The game is once again in Unique's hands.
That has been a pretty safe place for it, as they're not a team that's gotten many leads, but when they have, they've stuck. As we are now 20 minutes in, Baron is available, and I'm going to expect that we're going to start seeing an acceleration of the tempo, not from Domino, but from Uniq now, because getting on those objectives is the thing that is going to end up winning you the game, right?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, when it comes to those objectives contests, though, like, it's similar to the previous game. I see one team has a pretty big advantage there, but there is a caveat there, right? Which is if this Karma Xayah composition splits off in the instances before and Domino's catch them on the death squads, that's how they're able to get the plays.
I mean, that's what they're going for here. Flash hook from Snarby.
Eventually.
They've managed to catch out Pedersen as he's stunned. He is going to be able to use his own ultimate, but they are dropping everything on the Braum, and Fjongbun is going to be able to get a shutdown. There is a response coming through from Uniq, though, as Pedersen will be able to take out skills. Fjongbun going for the stun. Larry stares, and whereas Cyrax is forced out under his tower and does just about get the snare off. A rampage kill for the Uniq AD carriers. It has been a 2 for 2 in this fight, and that's all it will be. But Neas steps a little bit too far forward, so now Larry can pump damage into the Karma. The Acathian rain burns like acid, but hold on, Paul's just split pushing top lane.
Yes, the whole time that fight was happening, Paul was splitting. They found the numbers advantage. They were even able, thanks to Fjongbun, able to get a heavy amount in the extended scenario. But that was because Paul was just topside the entire time, deleting towers on the Yasuo. It's actually incredible how fast the Yasuos are able to delete towers like this, but, you know, Domino's able to pick up some kills, but if they do something like that again, Yasuo is suddenly threatening Nexus.
I mean, that's the danger, right? We were talking about Paul potentially getting caught out a lot of times. If no one's near him, he's absolutely fine to do exactly that, and now Fjongbun is going to have to respond to that wave being shoved in. Does have the teleport if he needs to join the rest of his team, and Domino, whilst they are at a goal disadvantage, they've got first move into the river, and they are starting up the Baron. The Nature's Grasp being pulled from Antwerp. That is a very aggressive teleport from Fjongbun. He dives in with the ultimate and gets one shot. Paul with that kill as a double knockup lands onto Stubby and Lowry from the Glacial Fissure. And Cyrax will pump a load of damage. Unstoppable on the Xayah, taking down Snabby. Domino get the Drake, but they lose the fight.
2 lives for 1 Drake, but they do deny Uniq the soul point, which means they can make a choice later if they want to trade Baron for Drake or Drake for Baron and vice versa. Fjongbun gave his life for that. They have to make it count, but you know, you can feel this game slipping away from Domino slowly but surely. Fights that they win, they lose a lot. Neutral objectives where they gain the objective, they still lose a lot for it. And
hold on. We've got a fight emerging, and Uniq are winning it as it stands. Larry with a very smart flash to get away for the moment before he will give another kill over to Cyrax. 6-0-6 on the Xayah. This guy is having an absolutely immense performance, but hold on. Domino don't want him to go any further, as somehow Vi has ended up in the backline, but it's not enough to kill the AD carry. Cyrax is godlike. Finally, a shutdown will come through onto the Uniq AD carry, but that's the only kill that Domino are going to be able to get here, as Fjombon is so incredibly low. One more concussive blow would stun him up. Pascal is also waiting in the wings, but he will opt away from the fight. Uniq get another play around the Baron, but they don't take the objective.
Absolutely insane stuff, actually. So we were talking about how Unique's Baron setups are pretty good because they can just peel off and immediately engage when their opponents are contesting them. But if Domino's is able to catch them out early on, maybe they can get that 4v1, 3v1, 4v2, what have you, with the numbers advantage. In this scenario, Domino's had 2 players dead, they had got an objective for it, and they still decided that they had to opt in for the contest. It was the worst case scenario for Domino's, the scenario of trying to actively avoid the whole game, but Uniq immediately forced them into it by going straight onto the Baron. If that's going to be endemic of the rest of the game, then it looks very favoured for Uniq. Domino's can't afford to make too many decisions like that. They have to rely on catching people out. Cyrax had no ultimate, no summoners, and they figured that was free food, but the Braum, the Karma, the disengage is enough. It's there. It's impossible to get on these carries while those guys are either alive or near them, so you have to get a scenario one of those two is not true.
Uniq have now started up the Baron. And it's so difficult to move in if you are Domino. They're going to go for it, though. 4,000 HP on the objective scale, going around the back, possibly looking for a steal here as a bit of damage is being dropped onto Pets, and the Nature Squad's going to be opened up, and Antwer is incredibly low. The Vi is in the pit and is going to find access onto Cyrax in the front line. Pedersen and Paul are preventing the engage from Domino. Vi knocked into the air. A load of damage actually coming out from the Renekton, as finally someone will drop in the fight, and it's Pedersen. He's dead. Hold on. 2 kills going in favor of Domino, but it's not going to go for much longer. It's actually Fjombon is turning it around. This is 4 kills for Domino, and Antwer is caught out and dead. Somehow, Domino find a fight around the Baron, and they will claim their prize.
The kill onto Cyrax was absolutely devastating. All the DPS was immediately lost. Yasuo was finding it so difficult to actually enter the fight actively against everything that Domino's had in front of him. The Renekton can control the Yasuo very well. The Nautilus can control him very well. Look at this fight. They get onto Pedersen. Pedersen doesn't actually have anything to disengage with now. That's one source left. And Fjombon right on top of Cyrax. Everybody else dives on top. That carries down. It's very easy to control the Yasuo. You have the W, you have the anti-shielding mechanisms on the Renekton. The rest of them become free food. If Cyrax goes down, the fight is easy. It just should be difficult to get to that point. Pedersen, Antwer, Nias, Paul even, they all just have to sit on top of this Xayah. Xayah cannot split from them. If they get rid of those disengage tools, they can still win these fights. And that's got to be a confidence booster for Domino's.
And I tell you what, they took that fight at a 5,000 gold disadvantage when it looked like they were kind of out of the game, but they are still here. They are still in with a fighting chance, and if they can get this Drake, which is spawning soon, then they're going to be on Soul Point. And if you've got a Hextech Soul, then compositional differences can be overcome pretty damn easily. Uniq are searching for mid lane priority, but that's so difficult to get against a Baron.
I mean, Cyrax is on 14,000 gold, so if you insta-delete him, you're actually operating at a 9k gold advantage, aren't you? If you're 5k gold down. That's the calculus that they're running, and that's the calculus that worked out for them in the last fight. Pedersen, he has gotten rid of his big disengage tool already. Domino's are going to be on Soul Point from this. Uniq, they're not feeling the confidence anymore to just take fights if any of their disengage is down. Not after the last one. Dominoes have put the fear of God into them.
Still going to be looking for a push, and Fionbum isn't really in the best position to stop this from happening. Shaolin actually going for a little bit of a shove in the bottom lane, but is going to reset very quickly as Uniq aren't stopping with the push. As more members of Domino turn up, I think that they may do an opportunity for a flank TP, but 28 minutes in, this game has become a hell of a lot closer than perhaps it should have been, but that is all credit to Domino. They found themselves in a rough spot and they fought their way out of it.
I mean, Uniq are the team that is on the back foot now. Even though they have a small goal advantage, they are the ones against Soul Point. They are the ones that have been playing against this Baron pressure for the last couple of minutes. They are the ones that are reevaluating their situation and how they're playing out these scenarios. Domino's, they're in control of the map. There is no Herald to take tempo back from them with a split-pushing pool. They just have to meet Domino's on their own term.
The question then becomes for Domino is, how much can you actually push with this? Because I look at this composition and I think this isn't a group of champions that is going to siege particularly well. It's going to dive amazingly, but if you're diving into a tower, it could be a rough spot. Paul, what are you doing, buddy? You're not allowed to clear that wave. Yes, you get a 3-person ultimate, but you're going to die for it. That's not hashtag worth.
Well, it's the individual pick. The first domino has fallen. Let's see if they get the rest. It's still a terrible composition to siege with. Maokai has the ultimate, Xayah has the ultimate, and the feathers. Karma's there to shield everybody. You can't just immediately pivot off of that into a tower, but more things like that is how they win the game. Drake is not up, Baron is not up, but if they maintain this pressure, and Uniq have to go through a Domino's control jungle to get to those areas, they can set up bigger picks like that where they could conceivably end the game off. That's the game plan for Domino's now. Make sure that you're getting your resets off on time. Make sure you don't lose too much control. Make sure that if they're going to take back this vision now, they're doing it off tempo. See, even though they're getting Baron control, they have to reset, which means that Domino's should have the confidence to take that vision back and look to pressure again and get this topside jungle. If they get that done, you want to bait around Baron, and if you set up another Death Rush, right, and you catch them off guard again, that's your window in. But don't get cocky. Think, does Vorm have the ultimate? Does Yasuo have the Windwall? Does Xayah have the ultimate? What about Maokai, right? Think that at all times. If any of those are no, maybe this is a fight that you can take. But otherwise, maybe it's time to just reset and re-engage. They're not having the confidence to just enter here and retake all vision, though. They have to compete for mid-priority first. And that is still difficult for them if Uniq are groups.
So, interesting proposition. In around about a minute's time, veteran, Baron is going to be spawning. In around about a minute 30's time, potential Hextech Soul is going to be spawning for Domino. Do Uniq go, actually, we're not going to play for this Baron at all. We're going to go towards the Drake and deny the Soul and bet that we can ride out the Baron. Is that a realistic proposition for them?
That's the calculus that Domino's gave 2 lives to avoid. They did not want Uniq to be able to give them that kind of a choice where they decide between the Baron, decide between the Drake. But yes, Uniq could potentially get split by that decision themselves. The thing Uniq need to do is be so fast on the Baron contest that the Drake doesn't have enough time to force them to make the split decision. Because right now, either decision could theoretically be good for Domino's. So you want to avoid that. So pressing on the Baron, which I think they were beginning to do just before the pause, is what they want to be doing.
As we have just got another pause, another peripheral issue, veteran. We did 2 in one day. That's quite spectacular. But as the game stands, it's pretty perfectly poised, right? Both teams even on kills. We've got one team that's got the potential for a Baron, that's got the potential for a Hextech Soul, but you look on the other side and you've got this hyper-scaling Xayah who is still incredibly strong if you aren't able to deal with her, and it means that the next fight, I think, is probably going to decide this game.
Oh, yes. Yeah. I absolutely believe it. Because if Dominoes are able to win, they're able to claim the soul on the Drake, the second Baron. But honestly, 32 minutes in, this Baron's going to be extremely powerful if Uniq take it, and they have the tools that can siege, that can go full extended with this Baron. Uniq, they're heavily contesting mid, but look how much they are leaning towards this Baron side. They want to try to force Dominoes into them, but Dominoes is saying, you know what? We know that if we delay this as long as humanly possible, you have to make an impossible decision between the Soul and the Baron, and we're going to let you guys do that. We don't think you're going to go start the Drake, and we're just going to lean so heavily down to the side when none of you are in that you don't get the engage off. Maokai are off to the side. They're trying to find something, but Dominoes, they're ready to just go straight back towards bot side at a moment's notice. Very patient play for them, very good, but eventually you have to make a pick. You're the guys pressured to do that. Burn something. Maybe they can burn Vorm again. Maokai coming out.
It's only going to connect onto Fjump, and that Renekton is not a priority target at this stage in the game. But Domino found themselves a little bit split, and they found their Renekton with 30% HP. He's going to have to back and teleport back in, which is going to give Uniq a potential window. They've started up the Drake. Snarby is
PP.
looking around, thinking about a hook. He is going to be able to connect it onto Pedersen, get a multi-person knock-up, but that is a huge windmill. It's going to deny so much damage. Nias is being jumped onto, and they have found the Maokai. They have found the Xayah, and Domino have found the fight. Paul is going to be isolated and taken out on the other side. A double for Larry. TPs towards the base. Domino don't give a damn about the Drake. They're looking for the Nexus.
The ultimate from Maokai found Fiombu, but all that did was send him to recall, and he TP flanked behind them, went straight on top of the Xayah. The Xayah's ultimate was not enough. The Xayah's flash just wasn't there. Vi was able to get in. One person gets on top, the rest of them follow. Cyrax falls, and that's the Domino that completed the... Is it a puzzle? Completed the entire puzzle. Whatever it completed, Domino's come out with a win.